Good morning. I see MD was here at 11:47 p.m. Well, at least we know other people are as excited as I am. All right, today is the start of Advent of Code, and it's going to be pretty awesome, I think. I've been avoiding social media since I woke up so that I wouldn't have it ruined. Good morning, Artwork Studios. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Yes, today is the start of Advent of Code. Good morning, Anub. Yes, we are going to be, we are let's go with Go. Awesome, not awesome. Life is as it is. Yeah, that's one of my like catchphrases is it is what it is. You know what I mean? People spend so much time whining and bitching and complaining about woe is me, why is that, this is so hard, life is so terrible, why can't this ever do what I want it to do? It is what it is, man. We have to deal with life the way it is, not the way we wish it to be. I'm going to do AOC in JavaScript. I don't care. Go for it, dude. You can do it in whatever language you want. There's people who do it in Bash. There's people who do it in Excel. I've heard of all kinds of crazy scenarios that people do. Do whatever's fun. Good morning, Stefan. Good to see you, sir. Busy Slim. Oh yeah, tangent time. Yeah. Sometimes chat knows what to say to really set me off, you know? All right, I'm gonna take care of some housekeeping stuff. Then we're gonna make some coffee, and then we're gonna get into whatever the problem is for the day. So one sec. Good morning. I'm drinking coffee, chatting with you all, and trying to solve the Advent of Code problem of the day. If you are new here, try commands for more context. No hints. No hints. Alright, let me pin that message. Okay. And then let's do a quick check on our members. Also, Stefan, where have you been, sir? Oh, we talked about this yesterday. You've been wrestling, haven't you? You've been going to class and wrestling. You've been doing what you're supposed to be doing. One question: do I have to do both puzzles, or can I do only one? I mean, you can do whatever you want. I mean, it's your life. You know what I mean? No one's. It's not like being in school. No one's gonna come check your homework. You know. So you can do whatever you'd like. All right, we have 9 members, which I think is the same, but let's give it a quick refresh. You know, I'm gonna try to solve Advent code in 1 hour. I mean, you can. I'm not much of a racer on these things. There's definitely people who do races. Almost like, have you ever guys seen like kill races in Call of Duty? There's people that do like, you know, puzzle races. But yeah, I'm not on that level, you know. I'm just a guy who likes to drink coffee in his basement and pretend to be a developer. Oh, this is still so annoying that I have to do this manually every time. Okay, then we'll go into membership monitor. We'll give that a quick run. Okay, that's all up to date. Let's go to Advent of Code 2025, and I've got a branch set up. And let's open up another tab so we can run our tests. CD Advent of Code 2025, like this. Alright, I've got the coffee, the coffee for the pre-coffee happening. Now we need to go. A noob, love the music. Ah, yes, the music is provided by lofigenerator.com. You can check that out here. I put the link to that in the chat. It's pretty awesome. It's made by a guy named Dylan Turner. That's pretty cool. So. Yeah, man, go for it, Artwork Studios. Artwork Studios, you realize that every message you've sent in the last like 10 messages has been like YW or YKW. Stefan, automate this with Go. I mean, the members part. Okay, so Stefan, this is like an ongoing beef I have with YouTube. Apparently, in order to get programmatic access to the members list, you have to get special permission. And so you have to have a YouTube channel that's large enough that you have your own Google or YouTube representative, which I am not. So I cannot, while I can use the API endpoint here in the Explorer, if I try to call this endpoint outside of the Explorer, it returns an error. Permission denied error. Yeah, God, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. God damn it, indeed. And I've contacted Google support twice. So I guess we have a new goal in life. We need to grind at this YouTube thing long enough that I can automate the damn members process. All right. So we're gonna go. Okay, we're gonna switch up the cameras really. Oh, actually, hold on. Let me open Advent of Code. I'm curious if anybody in our private leaderboard has already solved this. So there's the puzzle. Yay! It's unlocked. Dude, I'll bet there were some people that stayed up to like right at midnight last night. Dude, why can I not get Zen to work right? There we go. Advent of Code, day 1. And then let's see what's going on with the leaderboard. Let's see. Private leaderboard. Well, it looks like Pablo's already solved it. So it looks like Pablo has solved it, but nobody else. Alright, well, let's go make some coffee, and then we'll do this thing. A little hacking never hurt anybody. Good morning, MD. Hey, how are you today? I'm doing good. Stefan, so make it think there's a browser client. I guess you could do that. I'm guessing Google has pretty good ways to defeat bot automation, if I had to guess. Alright. I'll be right back. Well, I'm not gonna be right back. I'm gonna move the camera to the other room. So let's see if this works. Hello, hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I think it's working, but I don't think it's coming through my headphones like I had planned. All right, I think we're back. I think it's working. I think it's working now. There we go. Okay. Now it's working. All right. So today's advent of coffee. So we have advent of code and we have advent of coffee. And today's coffee is Columbia Aponte Village Honey. So we're going to heat up some water. This is like my makeshift coffee station in the basement. Also, I should probably pull up chat so I know if you guys are yelling at me. This is like my coffee cam? Yeah, coffee cam. All right, it's going to be loud. We're going to grind some coffee. Look at that packaging. They knocked it out of the park on the packaging. These people really know what they're doing. All right, I'm going to use this machine called a Clever Dripper. It's kind of like a pour over meets a French press. It's pretty awesome. How many attempts do we get in AOC per question? I think you can make as many as you want. You are rate limited though, so if you try to spam your answer, they will rate limit you at some point. But you can attempt. I think they usually you can like attempt so many times, and then they'll tell you to wait 5 minutes, and then wait 10 minutes. So they'll kind of exponentially back off your attempts. But you can try as many times as you want. And Advent of Code is open like basically forever. I mean, they leave the puzzles up all year round. Excuse me. All right, watch your. Oh shoot! I don't have my hot water kettle plugged in.
All right, we got to weigh out our coffee. We're gonna try to do this like professionals. I linked to the company that sells this coffee in the description too. I have solved the first question. I am using Java. Dude, is it really that easy? Or are you really that good? That's crazy. All right, loud noises. Watch your ears. Whew. That has like a floral smell to it. Almost like a citrus. Like super floral. All right, now we just gotta wait for our hot water to heat up. That's softer than my blender? Oh, good. Well, I was worried it was going to be too loud. I got to get my coffee cup. Yeah, this is the first time I've made coffee on stream for sure. For show. I haven't had I set up this this dedicated camera just for admin of code. I got some bedhead going on, don't I? Apparently what we're supposed to taste in this coffee, which these tasting notes are never, we're supposed to taste dried cherry, raw honey, papaya, silky. It's kind of cool they sent a card for each coffee in Advent of Code. Or not Advent of Code, but at their Advent calendar. Day one, that's right. Good morning, Abhi. How are you? And this month you'll do the Advent of Code, then no? When is that? No, we're doing Advent of Code too. We're going to brew coffee. We're going to make this coffee, and then we're going to go into the office and solve the first day. Which it sounds like one of you has already solved it. So maybe part one's more straightforward than I was going to originally think. Puzzle one looks easy enough. Really? Huh. I was hoping they would come out of the gate kind of firing. Just smack us all in the face. But nothing wrong with an easy one to start. You guys wait. You'll be saying this is easy, and I'll be stuck on it for 2 hours. I will share my solution when I'm done. Yeah, do it, man. There's a Advent of Code forum in the Discord, so you can post your solution there. I would just make sure you mark it as a spoiler, just in case. Dude, making coffee is such a good ritual. All right. I think I actually have enough coffee for 3 cups. I think they sent me, well, depending on how much coffee you use, but I think I have enough for 2 or 3 cups. We're just going to do the one, though. Sure, it's hard in assembly. Somebody did it in assembly? That's crazy. Sorry, I'm looking at chat on my phone. There's only 12 days this time. Yeah, they did 12 days just from he wrote a post about it, and I think on the about page he actually explains why he did that. I think it's more manageable for most people. Like you could do a part. I'm going to do a part each day of Advent. I think that's far more manageable. They're saving the hardest for last so you don't enjoy Christmas. Dude, that's diabolical. That's diabolical. We can't paste the code in AOC, only the solution, right? What do you mean? I mean, you can copy and paste anything, really. I think the key is they don't like you to reproduce their problem or their input and share it. That's the one thing they don't like. Dude, could you imagine someone solving it in binary? That would be nuts. That would be crazy. All right, I'm gonna drink my coffee while I wait for my coffee. Today's Monday. You should be in the office. No, I work remotely, so I get to work from home. I don't have to go to the office, but I do go back to work today. I was off all last week. Bro, what's that for a coffee? You mean this right here? This is a clever dripper. I can link you to it. It's like a pour over meets a French press. It makes pretty good coffee. Oh, you were talking to Stefan? I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I never know when people are talking to me or not. Busy Slim, I did get 25 different coffees. So this is from this company. I linked to this company in the description of my stream, but the company is called Onyx. It's kind of hard to see, but they sent like this whole box, and there's a different coffee for every day of Advent, and it comes packaged in these like single serving packages of coffee, and they're numbered. It's pretty cool. I mean, look at this artwork. Ooh. Is that not crazy? I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's crazy. All right, time to let it pour. David, that mug should be illegal. Which one? This one? This mug? Or the Ember mug? Which one, David? The Ember mug's a life changer, man. How much was it? It was like $200. Yeah, it was like $200. It was a little expensive, but it was a treat yourself situation. You have to buy it before like November 15th. I've wanted to do it for the last 2 or 3 years, and this year I decided to go ahead and pull the trigger on it. Yeah, this has like super like flowery. This has definitely dried cherries, definitely. I don't know about papaya and raw honey. I put the card. They sent this card that like describes the coffee. I put that. That's what's in the bottom left or bottom right corner for you guys. All right. The coffee has been made. So now we're going to double fist it back to the office. Because obviously, whenever you're making coffee, you need a coffee to drink while you're making the coffee, right? That's logical. All right, that's the end of the coffee making part of the stream. Again, this is a company called Onyx Coffee. They don't sponsor me. They're based out of Northwest Arkansas. It's just a very cool brand that I really like and enjoy. You can get this coffee. I link to this coffee in the description. So if you'd like to try it, it's in the description. Again, I'm not sponsored or like an affiliate or anything. It's just a cool company, and they're near to me and where I grew up. And I wanted to share my joy of having a coffee advent calendar with you guys. So now we're gonna go back here and we're gonna actually do what we're supposed to be doing, which is solving advent of code. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Can you see me? I'm in the office now.
All right, that actually worked way better than I thought it was going to. I thought it was going to have major technical difficulties, but it worked pretty good. Did you do it yet? No, I have not solved it yet. So we've been enjoying our advent calendar for our coffee, and now we're going to do our advent calendar for our code. All right, we're back. Pour over action. Yeah, I use my favorite way to make coffee when it's drip coffee is this little machine called a clever dripper. Clever dripper. I actually found this the second or third time I went to the Onyx Coffee Lab in Fayetteville. But yeah, it's a pretty clever device. It's basically like I said, it's basically like a pour over meets a French press. So your coffee is immersed in water, but then when you actually go to get the coffee out, you basically drip it out like you would with a normal pour over. It's a pretty handy little machine. I wish I would have thought of it and started a brand around it, but you know how like French press coffee tends to have like kind of like a really almost like filmy, lots of particulate type of mouthfeel, and then pour over is like really crisp and clean. But the French press has like a stronger, bolder flavor than your pour over. So with this, you kind of get the best of both worlds, where you get like a really clean, crisp cup of coffee, but it tastes very strong, which is how I like my coffee. It's super strong. I started drinking coffee probably middle school, maybe like 12, 13. Yeah, that's when I started. We can see you stalking you. Let's see. For me, it was 16 or a little younger. Yeah, it was like for me. I think it was like probably 12, 13 years old when I started drinking coffee. For streaming content, we can use Bubblehead at bottom, so when the keyboard pops up, it does not block screen. Oh, nice. I mean, if you guys ever want me to flip my cam to the bottom, I can. It's just I kind of prefer for making clips of my stream. I kind of like the cam to be on top, but I do have a scene set up that I can switch between. Yeah, that's good. Dude, that's such a different flavor of coffee than I normally drink. It's definitely like a medium, like a lighter medium roast coffee. That's great. So Heel, thanks for subscribing, man. I appreciate it. Good to see you. All right, let's see what's going on. Pablo's already solved this, so let's see how this goes. The plan is, by the way, guys, the plan is for admin of code. I'm just gonna do part 1 today, and then part 2 tomorrow. So there's 12 puzzles this year, right? And so my plan is to do 1 part a day. That way I can stretch it over the full 24 days of admin of code. So if this doesn't take me the whole normal time for the stream, we'll find something else to do. There's plenty of other things we can work on. How the hell did Pablo finish? He probably, if I had to guess, he's one of those crazy people that stayed up till midnight when it unlocked, you know? So he probably had it done super early. A noob. If I sub and unsub again, will my name show up? Yeah, it should. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think it will. I also do have, well, yeah, I mean, I have speech to text, but it requires a super chat of $1. But yeah, I think if you unsubscribe and resubscribe, you can get your username to come through on Stream Elements. All right, I'm gonna, yeah, let's read the problem. Focus. All right, the elves have some good and bad news. The good news is that they've discovered project management. The links are always funny. You should always follow the links. This is just a Wikipedia link, but there are some links that are funny. They'll take you to like YouTube clips or pictures. Always follow the links. AOC is actually more of a socials thing, not a competition, but it's fun to win. Yeah, well, it's historically it has actually been a competition. They've actually had a global leaderboard for all of their events until now. So since 2015, they've basically had a global leaderboard. So people used to be able to race to be like the first name on the global leaderboard. So you'd have people who would finish it in like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like crazy fast. But I think getting rid of the global leaderboard and just going with the private leaderboards is the right move, because I think for some people the competitive side of it is discouraging to some folks, you know. Which granted, it's not really admin of code's problem to fix that. But I think not having a global leaderboard, I think incentivizes people to organize competition amongst themselves, you know. So I don't know. I think it's a positive thing. He flipped the screen for a little while. Oh, you mean put the camera on the bottom? But yeah, like that. Yeah, we can do that. All right, we're gonna read this. This is given the tools they need to prevent their usual Christmas emergency. From people they now know. No, sorry, I can't read. For example, they now know that the North Pole decorations need to be finished soon so that other critical tasks can start on time. The bad news is that they've realized they have a different emergency. According to their resource planning, none of them have any time left to decorate the North Pole. To save Christmas, the elves need you to finish decorating the North Pole by December 12th. Collect stars by solving puzzles. 2 puzzles will be made available on each day. The second puzzle is unlocked when you complete the first. Each puzzle grants 1 star. Good luck. So our main mission is to help the elves decorate the North Pole. How lucky are we? Stefan, no, he meant make it horizontal. No, we're not. I don't have any scene set up to do a horizontal stream. So there will be no horizontal stream. All right, so so you want me to put the camera back on top? You guys are distracting me. All right, chat, you're not helping the situation at all. Let's see. You arrive at the secret entrance to the North Pole base, ready to start decorating. Unfortunately, the passwords seem to have been changed. No, this is perfect. Chat, make up your mind. Stefan, I don't have a How about this? How about this? How about we do horizontal streams that are member only? Flip flop back on top. Yeah. So I mean, I'm happy to put my camera on the bottom. I prefer when I'm making clips of my stream to have the camera on top, but it's not a big deal. Let's see. Due to new security protocols, the password is locked in the safe below. Please see the attached document for the new combination. Stefan, fuck yeah. Yeah, we can do members only stream. Horizontal. Remember Scarface, don't get high on your own supply? I think it's already happened. You pay Steven to have a good watching experience? Basically. Pablo, how's the coffee? The coffee is delicious. It's actually funny. I made a coffee to drink while I made the advent of coffee. So I have basically like a dark roast, like espresso roast that I've been drinking, and this is much more like it's like a lighter, and it's almost like more of a floral coffee. I don't know if you guys have ever had Ethiopian coffee. This is from Colombia, but it's definitely much more like a floral tasting coffee, which is always interesting. It's very distinct, but it's good. It's good. I linked to the if there's any coffee I try during this next couple weeks that you want to try, I'm gonna put the links to all those coffee in the description. And obviously, I'm not sponsored by Onyx Coffee Labs. I just think it's a cool brand, so there's nothing shady going on. You flipped the stream. Yeah, we flipped the stream because somebody said it was easier for them to read since I was reading the problem, it was easier for them to see it with chat. A noob, you lied. What? What do you mean I lied? Stefan, never had anything other than black and espresso. You should try an Ethiopian coffee then, Stefan. Like, buy yourself a bag of Ethiopian beans and try it. It's a wild experience, like from a sensory science experiment. Like that's one of those things that like you can definitely put a cup next to a cup and taste it blindfolded, and you will be able to pick out which is which. It's pretty wild how different they are. I knew my name didn't show up. I had to wait 5 minutes to type in chat again. Well, shit. Well, let me see if I can figure out why. Noob, the reason why you probably don't have your subscription set to public. So in order for your subscribe event to be propagated publicly, you have to make who you're subscribed to publicly available, which is a setting in YouTube. So like some people have all their subscriptions set to private, and some have them public. And I'm guessing you're one of those people that has them private, which is why it didn't come through. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you unsubscribed and resubscribed and then had to wait 5 minutes because I didn't think about that. Sorry. My bad. Stefan, where do I get it? Just Amazon. Like, do a quick search on Amazon for like Ethiopian coffee beans or something like that. Or I don't know what things are like in Serbia. I don't know if you guys have kind of like specialty coffee stores or coffee shops, but they might be able to hook you up if you have one where you live. Pablo, the AOC challenge is super easy. Dude, you're like the 5th person to tell me that, and I know now because everyone has said it's going to be easy, I'm going to be stuck on it for like 3 hours. No Amazon in Serbia? Really? I had no idea. Okay. I might have to do some research for you because I don't know then where to point you to get it. I mean, well, I guess I do know where to send you, but I don't know if they deliver to Serbia. You know what I mean? Alright. The safe has a dial with only an arrow on it. Around the dial are the numbers 0, through 99 in order. As you turn the dial, it takes a small click. It makes a small click noise as it reaches each number. The attached document contains a sequence of rotations, one per line, which tells you how to open the safe. A rotation starts with an L or R, which indicates whether the rotation should be to the left or to the right. And then the rotation has a distance value, which indicates how many clicks the dial should be rotated in that direction. So, if the dial were pointing at 11, a rotation of R8 would cause the dial to point at 19. After that, a rotation of L19 would cause it to point to 0. Wait. So if the dial were pointing at 11 and I rotated it 8 to the right, oh, because it's positive. Yeah. So basically, we have this dial, and the dial can basically turn over on itself, essentially, right? That's basically what I'm understanding. So you have like a 0, and then probably at the top of the dial, and then you have a 1, and then you have a 99. So if you turn it to the right, you're obviously increasing the value. So if you're going this way, if you're going right, you're increasing the value. And then if you're going left, you're decreasing the value. But then if you cross over, right? So it's like if you say, like, if they said turn 100, right? That would take you all, if you started at 0 and they said turn 100, you'd end up all the way back at 0, I think. So you basically have to account for that whenever they're instructing you of your turns. Or in this case, like they said, you went to 19, and then they told you to go left 19, so that took you back up the dial. I think I'm understanding this correctly. Because the dial is a circle. Oh yeah, because the next paragraph says what I just said. Pablo, prepare to struggle with part 2. Oh no, that's ominous. That's ominous. Turning the dial left from 0 one click makes it point at 99. Yeah, so that's what I just drew in that diagram. Similarly, turning the dial right from 99 one click makes it point at 0. So if the dial were pointing at 5, a rotation of left 10 would cause it to point at 95. After that, a rotation of R5 would cause it to point at 0. The dial always starts pointing at 50. Okay, so let's say 50 is our midpoint. Forget part 2. I failed part 1. That's all right, man. It's not a speed game, dude. You got like all day, and you know what I mean. You got plenty of time. You got your whole life basically to solve it, because they keep it up forever. So just go slow, and then once you get stuck, I don't think there's anything wrong with if you made several attempts and you get stuck. There's always a Reddit thread that has people out there posting solutions in different languages. So if you get really stuck, just go look at the Reddit thread. I mean, you don't have to necessarily copy and paste other people's solutions, but maybe they can help you think through or unblock you. You know what I mean? Reading how other people thought about the problem. So yeah, it's not a race. You know, you'll be fine. Abhi, modulos. You think you should use modulos for handling the turn of the dial? Yeah, I guess you could do that. I was just thinking it'd be easiest to just subtract. Like if you're going right, add, and if you're going left, subtract. And if you cross over the 0 or the 100 threshold, and even, you know, if you go negative, then you know you need to subtract stuff off. And if you go positive over 100, you know you need to. No, if you go negative, you need to add, and if you go positive above 100, you need to subtract. But maybe modulo is the better decision here. Anyways, I'm getting ahead. I still haven't finished reading the problem. So if the dial, okay, yes, the dial starts pointing at 50. So we added that. So the dials are always pointing here. to start with. You could follow the instructions, but your recent required official North Pole secret entrance security training seminar. But your recent required official North Pole secret entrance security training. What an oddly specific seminar to attend. Taught you that the safe is actually a decoy. The actual password is the number of times the dial is left pointing at 0 after any rotation in the sequence. I think yeah. So basically, if you say, like, if I start at 50 and you say right 50, which takes you back to 0, then that would count towards your whatever the number is, the number of times. So for example, suppose the attached document contained the following rotations. Following these 3 rotations would cause the dial to move as follows. The dial starts by pointing at 50. The dial is rotated left 68 to point at 82. It's rotated left. So if I'm at 50 and I rotate 68, that means I go 50 and then 18 more. So that would be 82. That's how they get to 82. Okay. All right. So I think we can start off by writing some pretty simple tests, right? We can just write some simple tests that give it a starting point, and then we can have some methods that handle turning. Because the dial points at 0 a total of 3 times during this process, then the password in this example is 3. What's the actual password to open the door? Okay. Well, let's get things set up locally, should we? I thought I am missing something. I will submit now. Go for it. Yeah. The dummy example doesn't do justice. Oh, I hate that. I hate that. Yeah. Because you're like, why, my solution's working for the example. Why is it not working for the real input? Yeah, that sucks. So let's go ahead and get this set up. So the way I structured my solution was I was going to put all my days in their own directory. So I have main.go and I have main.test. So I'm going to put my input and my problem file in alongside it, but I've ignored it. It might get ignored. So these won't get checked into my repo. And I'm going to use that really cool AOC CLI tool that Pablo told us about. And I'm going to say download input file. Yep. Just like that. And I need to specify the year and the day. Oh, these also need to be, these are wrong. CMD and CMD. All right. Nice. Cool. So let's get our example, because that's what we're going to use for our initial tests. So this is our example. Copy. MB Stone, thanks for subbing. Appreciate you. Also, I'm going to flip my camera back to the top like that. And I know that might cut off the code for you, but that's how I want clips from this stream to show up. So that's what we're going to do. All right, I think if I run my test, so we'll go CMD 01. If I run my test, they will fail. But everything should compile. Hopefully. Pablo, it auto does that, grabs the current day and year if not specified. Oh, really? Well, that's good to know. Thanks, Pablo. Sam swapped the camera to the bottom today. I did for a little bit, and then I switched it back because I prefer it on the top myself. See you, Stefan. Hope your meal's good, man. Have a good day. Thanks for stopping in. Okay, so I think the first thing I'm gonna do is obviously I need to read the file, right? And this is, I don't have any code written to do this yet, so let's do func. Oh, we need to turn off Copilot too. Copilot disable. I thought we need to submit our code, then AOC will evaluate based on test cases. No, you run your code to get the answer. You run the code to get the answer, and then you submit the answer. And then this is going to return a slice of strings, like that. All right, so let's see if I can remember how to do this. So the first thing we have to do is we have to open the file. So file, open air, and I believe it's under the OS package. And there should be like a open, is there like an open file? Yeah, file path. And we'll say if open air does not equal nil, then we will return just an empty slice like this. Actually, we can just put this at the top. We can say lines. Just return our lines like that. Oops, like that. Now, once we have the file, I think this is the thing that implements a reader, and there's some sort of scanner we need. It's like also the answer is pretty short. It's like 22 lines. Really? Wow. Okay. Well, hopefully I don't struggle too much with this. Y'all are setting me up for a lot of pain, I think. I don't remember. This is like, we need like something, we need a scanner is what we need. And it's something like, is it IO dot scan? No. Yeah, I don't remember. So we're gonna have to go to the internet for this one. Go scan file line by line. buff.io.scanner. That's what I'm looking for. So it's buff.io.new scanner. And I'm pretty sure new scanner takes an IO reader, which the file implements, if I remember right. And then declare not used, yep. And so we can return the lines here. And then what we do with the scanner is we do something like var has line equals true. So we just assume it has a line. And then while it has a line, we will say has line equals scanner scan. And so as long as this is true, we want to get the line, which is going to be line scanner dot scan, no, not text. Then we can say lines dot append lines. I know I already wrote this code while we were cannot use line. Oh. I know we already wrote this code earlier, but I kind of felt like it was unfair to reuse code that I had already written. I kind of felt like for admin code I need to write everything from scratch, so that's what I'm doing. So let's do lines equals read lines file path. Then let's just format dot print line, and we'll print our lines. So we'll just make sure we're getting what we would expect. Let's do go test. Dang, Steven has AOC++. That just means that I donated. I always donate $10 to Advent of Code. Or that's what I've been donating the last 3 years that I completed. It's just a nice way to say thank you, you know, for them to put all this work in, and for me I'm getting to use it on my stream, and I get to have a ton of fun. So I just try to say thank you. Obviously, don't feel obligated to, you know what I mean? Like, I know some people don't have the money, or can't afford to donate, but if you can, I think that's pretty cool. All right, I think what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to represent. I'm gonna do some. I think I'm gonna try to solve this like very sequentially and try to do it step by step. So I think I'm gonna have a struct that represents each of the turns or instructions, I guess. So I'm gonna have a struct called type. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it instruction. That's what I did on a puzzle that I solved in 2022 recently, and that made a lot of sense. So I'm gonna do a type struct, and the instruction is gonna have a distance, I guess is what they called it, a distance, which is an int, and it's also gonna have a direction, which is gonna be a string, and we are gonna add a method to our struct. So we're gonna say, or let's just define a function called new instruction that takes in a line and basically parses that into what we would expect. So we will have, let's add a test for this. So let's go to main.test. Let's say function test new instruction. And Ashuta, why am I feeling like Go is more complex than C? I don't think Go is more complex than C, but I think Go is supposed to feel C-like. If I'm right. The first part took me like 5 minutes, but the second part took me 30. Well, we'll see what this might take me all 2 hours. I'm not fast. I've never been fast at developing, so it is what it is. So we'll say result equals solution dot new instruction. That will take in a string. Let's just give it a L. L7, I guess. We'll switch to L7. And so we will say if result dot direction does not equal L, then we will say t dot error got direction %s, but expected direction %s. So we got result dot direction, but we expected L. And let's make a new variable up here, expected direction equals L, expected distance is 7. So I think I can do plus expected distance. let's do line equals format.sprintf. I think I can do that. And then in here I can do %s, %d. And we can do expected direction, expected distance. And we can do line. So if the direction's wrong, we have an issue, and then obviously if the distance is wrong, we also have an issue. So we'll do expected direction, expected distance. Now I am 1 gold star closer. Congrats, man. That's awesome. Man, you guys are killing it. Killing it. Alright, now we need to go to the definition here. Now this is going to return an instruction. And this will be, so how do we get that? So the first thing we'll do is we'll want to get the parts. So we'll say strings.split. And I think we'll just split on an empty space. Well, actually, hold on. We don't even need to do that because we can just assume, we can honestly just assume that the input's always going to be valid. So what we'll do is we'll say if the length of the string, if the length of the line does not equal, it should equal, well, I guess that's wrong, right? Let's see, I guess I could regex this. No, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say direction is going to be line, the first rune, which is, right, the first rune, which is a byte, but I want it to be a string. And then the magnitude or the distance is going to be, we're going to take everything but the first, we're going to take everything from the second spot to the end, right? Yeah. And then we can return, there's some validation stuff in this method that I'm not taking care of, but theoretically we should be able to return a new instruction with the direction set to direction and the distance set to distance as a number, as int. So we need to parse this. So we'll have to say dist as int is stir convert dot atoi. We pass this in and we ignore the error. I know, probably shouldn't ignore the error. Now let's go and run this test and see if we get the instruction. Yeah, looks like we got the instruction right, which is good. So now we have a way to turn our lines into instructions. So that's good. So we're making progress. Yeah. Let's actually hold on just to make sure that I'm right. Let me make this fail really quick. Just since I didn't do that the first time, I don't trust that it's actually working properly. So let me do. Let me just return 0 like that. This is the one problem. This is the one thing about Go that kind of frustrates me, is not being able to have like that. Oh, and then because we're printing numbers, we need to do D. We need to do D. Abdul, apparently AI will replace coding, but not programmers. Also, apparently humans could do all the design and planning part. What the hell? How is this developing? I know coding does not equal programmers, but still. I don't. I guess it just depends if you honestly believe that. A noob. I have joined the leaderboard, but my name is not showing. Well, let me see if it's showing for me. Is this you? So we have I don't know who this is. There's Artwork Studios. But yeah. Pablo's on there. I don't know why your name's not showing up there. It's working for these people. Pablo, you can use a slice here. Thank you, sir. You pointed that out right as I was getting ready to do a regex, but that worked good. Okay, so we have our instructions. So now what we'll do is we'll say instructions is equal to a slice. No, I am a noob. Haba. Yeah, I have no idea why it's not showing up. It should be as simple as just going to your private or going to your leaderboard page, like sign into AOC, go to the leaderboard page, and then enter that code from my Discord, and you should be good to go. You know. Okay, and then we're gonna do instruction is equal to new instruction. We're going to pass in our line, and then we're going to say instructions dot append instruction. Sweet. All right, now I want to build something that represents the dial, right? So basically what I'm doing, my solution, the idea I'm trying to implement is kind of an object-oriented solution where I have instructions that tell the dial which way to go, left or right, you know. But then the dial is going to maintain whatever it's currently pointing at, and the dial is going to know, given a particular instruction, what should I do. So we're going to do, let's see, where are we at? We're back in here in our code. What is the leaderboard sorted on? I think it's sorted on time completed. Let's see, ordering. There are two different order methods. There's local score, which awards more points for earlier stars from each part of each puzzle. And then there's stars, which uses the number of, or which uses the number of stars the user has. Ties are broken by the time most recent star was acquired. This used to be the default. I think we're by stars. I think. But we can do, so this is the default, is local score, but we can do it by stars. Local score. It looks like it's the same for us, either one. I don't know. Stars, I think, is simpler to understand. It's basically just who has the most stars, and then the tiebreaker is the most recent star was acquired. The time the most recent star was acquired. We can do that one. All right, back to the problem at hand. Okay, so now I need another type. So we're going to do type dial, and dial is going to have what? Dial is going to have a, I guess, int, which is like current value. And I think that's all it needs to keep track of. It just needs to keep track of whatever it's currently pointed to. Oh, whoop. I flipped this. Should be current value. I've been writing too much C# lately. Excuse me. Default is local. Wow, Sponge was fast then? Cool. Yeah, he must have. I'm guessing he joined because you were at the top, Pablo. So I'm guessing he did it and then he joined, right? So he completed the puzzle and then he joined after the fact. My name is showing up now. I got 4-star. How? Let's look. I honestly don't know. Oh, there you are. Yeah. I just see 1-star. Yeah, I just see 1-star. Yeah. You're having a lot of odd experiences over there, noob. Name not showing up. Wrong star count. Alright, so we do new dial. And new dial doesn't need anything to get started. We're just going to do dial. And then we're going to return a dial. And that dial's current value is going to be 50, right? Because that's the default. That's where every dial starts. So we're going to need a dial here. Actually, let's go down here. And we'll say, okay, dial. Get dial equals new dial, like that. Let's give it a. Oh, we should write a test. We should be a good developer and write a test. So let's do func new dial or test new dial, test new dial, test new dial. Yeah, maybe that's what you were seeing. See you later, noob. Have a good day, man. You killed it. Let's see. Star t dot testing. Oh, whoops. Testing dot t. Let's see. Dial or result equal new dial. And what do we want to check here? We basically want to make sure if results equals nil, then we have an error. T dot error f got a nil value. Expect only non-nil values. Oh, I don't have to check that because that thing never returns. It always returns an instruction and not a pointer to an instruction, so it can't be nil. Okay, so then current value just needs to equal 50. So if current value does not equal 50, then we have an invalid. So t error f got unexpected beginning value. Expected %d, but got %d. So this will be expected starting value, and then we got dial dot current or result. Go test. Someone wasn't happy. Runtime error. Index out of range with length. That's a new one. And I don't I don't have any idea where that came from. That's I guess we should read the stack trace. Let's see. Run in go routine. Main test. What line is this? 19.4. Huh. I know what it is. I know what it is. There's an empty line in the scanner. LL Stevens writing more tests than for his link website. I didn't write any tests for the link website. I need to go back and probably do something about that. That would actually be a pretty good project for figuring out how to do Playwright with Go. Yeah, so what we want to do is we basically want to say if line format.print line. There's empty lines, I think, being read in. Oh, the very first line is an empty line. So what do we do? How do we see if a line is empty? I guess we can do if line. We do this. Then we continue. Probably need to trim white space too. There we go. Let's still make sure though we're getting our other lines, just to be safe. So if it's an empty line, we don't want it. Yeah, so we're getting our instructions. Great, awesome, wonderful. Last line is empty, not the first one, I believe. Well, it wasn't printing anything, so I thought maybe the first one was the one it was breaking on. See, because when I comment that out and I rerun it, I don't get any instructions printed, but I do get one empty line. So I think the first and the last line probably are empty, if I had to guess. I mean, I guess we can figure that out by just saying format.print line or printf. I know this has nothing to do with solving the problem, but let's see. Empty line at %d. Oh, there's just one at 0. Huh. Interesting. I would have thought there was one at the end, like Pablo said too. Any event, we fixed our runtime panic that we had. That's, you know, what's funny too is that's the only method we don't have tests for. So that's there we go. That's probably we should probably write a test for read lines. I think I'm gonna abstract this function and reuse it for future days, which is what I did in others. That's what I did when we were practicing in November, but I just felt like it was unfair. Good morning, Arvin. How are you? Good to see you, man. All right, so we got our lines. We're gonna continue. What else? Okay, so now the idea that I have in my head is basically if we're doing this by wishful programming, my thought process is we do dial, and then we create a new dial, right? And then we basically loop over our instructions. So we say for instruction range over instructions. Actually, we actually could do this without a loop, couldn't we? I think we could. So I think actually if we do a loop here, if we're already looping and we have the instruction, then we can just new up the dial up here. Right? And And then we can say, okay, great, we have our instruction. So then we can do dial.turn, pass the instruction in. And then after we do the instruction turning, we should be able to say if dial.currentValue equals 0, right? Then we can say total, which will start at 0, can be incremented, total plus plus, and then we can return the total. I think that will work. We obviously don't have a turn method, which is where the meat and potatoes of the logic lies. But yeah, I think we can do this. So we don't need that. And we can do function, has a receiver type of dial. And what'll it do? So I think because we're mutating the current, we have a couple approaches here, right? We could actually mutate the current value of that instance, or we could return a new instance of a dial and reassign it. But I think it probably makes more sense to return. I think it probably makes more sense to have a dial that's a pointer to a dial like this. That probably makes more sense for the receiver type. We have instruction. Oops. It probably makes more sense to do this. Yeah, I think that makes more sense to do that. So then what we'll do is we will turn it. So I think what we could do is we could basically just say d dot current value. Let's just set it to some random number to see if this actually was working. Let's set it to 0. And we'll just see if it works. So every time we call turn, we're just setting it to 0. So we shouldn't get 0. We should get some crazy number. 10. Okay, so there's 10 instructions. That's why. So there's 10 instructions. So every time we're running an instruction, we're setting the current value to 0. Then we're checking if it's 0. And then we're incrementing. So what we actually need to do is we actually need to implement the logic for dealing with left or right? So we could probably, I'm going to use a switch case for this. Yeah, maybe. Maybe I'll start with if statements and then we can use a switch case. So let's do const left. It's this guy. And const right is this guy. Okay, so if instruction dot direction equals left, we'll do something. And then if instruction dot direction equals right, we will do something else. So real quick, let's add some test cases based on what they gave us as the example. We'll come down here and let's do func test turn t testing.t. That do not allocate unless you need multiple. Oh, that's fair. Yeah, totally fair. I just figured because the struct was so small, like maybe it made sense to just, return a brand new one. But yeah, I think the fact that you're calling turn and you're passing an instruction, I think it for the reader or whoever was calling that code, I think they would expect turn to mutate that instance in my opinion. And then I think what we can do is let's actually try, let's create a, let's see, test cases, and we will just create a slice of an anonymous struct. Which I don't remember how to do an anonymous struct. Actually, let's see. Let's just say type turn test case is a struct. This is going to have the instruction, right? So what's the instruction? And then expected. These don't really need to be private. They don't really need to be public either. So expected dial value, which is an int. And then we're gonna say, great, thank you for making some test cases for me. And then we're gonna loop over our test cases. So we'll say for I, or test case. Let's actually index this. Test case in range over test cases. Excuse me. Excuse me. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so for each test case, we will create a dial like this. New dial starts at 50, and then we'll say, okay, great, dial dot turn test case dot instruction, and then we'll say if dial dot current value does not equal the expected dial test case dial value, and we'll say t.error f, and we'll print the test case just so we can locate which one is the problem, and we'll say got dial value %d but expected dial value %d, and we'll pass in the I, which is the test case number. We'll pass in the dial.current value, and we'll pass in the test case expected value, like that. That's a little bit of a table test for us. Look at us. We're using what that guy taught us. Chris James from Learn Go with Tests. Okay, dial starts pointing at 50. The dial is rotated L68. Okay. How are we going to do that? We're going to do solution instruction, and then we do direction is L, and then distance is 68. Then we have another one. We have another part of this. Oh, we need to do turn test case. There we go. And then we'll do instruction, and then we'll do expected dial value. So expected dial value is 82. you can imagine if it's taking me this long on a simple one, it's going to take me a lot longer on a harder one. The most robust AOC solution ever. Yeah, pretty much. So, so distance will be left and or no, that's direction. God dang it! Why can't I figure this out? Direction, and then we'll have distance of 68. I think is what they wanted. So this is gonna fail. So left 68. Oh, so this is like a series of steps. So we actually probably want to have our dial be outside of this, right? So it's gonna we're gonna mutate the state from case to case. So we'll start at 50 like we would expect. Then we'll turn it left 68 and we should get 82. And then the next case, you know, we're basically treating like we're applying these instructions successively. Which probably means these aren't really test cases. This is more like one complete test case, but we can always refactor and rename all that to make it clear. So L68 should point at 82. Now let's go ahead and run this test. This is going to fail, obviously. Go test. Pablo, you are over-engineering a bit. Yeah, but at least this way it keeps me straight, you know? Let's see, got dial value 50, but expected dial value 82. Yep, that makes sense because I haven't actually implemented this method. And I think it's telling me that I can get rid of this name. That's fine. Okay, so now that we have the instructions, we know our first instruction we're passing in is left, so we'll just focus on that. And for now, we'll just do we'll panic if someone gives not implement, not supported. You cannot turn our dial right. Don't you dare try to turn our dial right. So we'll do so if we're going left, this is where we need to subtract direction from the current value, right? So we need to say dial or d dot current value minus, right, minus instruction dot distance, and we would want to reassign to. Not supported. Oh, we need to return. This is why we probably should have used a case or a switch statement. We can always refactor it to that. Why is it hitting? Oh, because we're actually we're running the full test. We're running the full example input every time I run that. So we need to actually just filter it to just run test turn. So I think I can do that by saying go test dash, I think it's like dash run maybe? Yeah, so got dial value -18, but expected dial value 82. So this is where we've crossed over, right? So we were at 50 and we went left 60. So if we turn right, turn left. So we went left, which means we went back to 0 and beyond. But whenever we hit 0, we need to actually start over at 99, right? So how do we do that? I think we just I think we add 100 is what we do, right? Don't tell me. It's a rhetorical question. I say right, like, you will not have a test case that saves you from part 2. Damn, man. Well, I don't have to worry about part 2 today. I just have to do part 1. I'm just doing one part a day. I don't even have to worry about that. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so I think this will work for now. I think if I do if d dot current value is less than 0, right? Meaning it's gone negative, it crossed our threshold. I can bring it back positive by adding 100. So if I do current value plus equals 100, right? So just given the test case we have now, current value right now is negative 18. So we're going to add 100, right? So that should actually bring us back to where we want to go. Yeah. However, the problem with this, and I think this is why Anub was saying modulo would be a better approach, is because I think there's a possibility. Well, let's just add that as a test case. I think there's a possibility that, like, let's say instead of the distance being 68, let's say that's doubled, right? Or let's say it's like some absurd, crazy, because they didn't really say there's a limit, right? So, like, let's say I do this. Yeah, let's say, so we expect 80. Like, I'm imagining we turn the dial over multiple times, right? So, like, if we cross 0 multiple times as part of the instructions, or in one single instruction, so what would that look like? It would look like 68 takes me to 82, but let's say we add additional 100 to this. I don't think adding 100 once is going to get us to where we want to go. Yeah. So I think this has to actually be like a while. I think this actually has to be a while loop. If I do it this way, I think this actually has to be while, or not while, for. Let's see if that works. Yeah. So I think it actually needs to be a loop that runs until we cross. Basically, if our instruction takes us so much negative, we need to overcorrect back onto our scale by adding 100. At least that's what I'm going to do. And then let's reset this to 68 and see if we still pass that test. Okay. Yeah, so I think that's a safe assumption for now. And let's add the rest of our cases. So now we're going to go 30 and expect it to be 52. This is where I need a macro, isn't it? So 30 and it's supposed to be 52. So 30, 52. And that's still left, so it should still work. Yeah. Now when we hit right, that's when we're going to have a panic because we haven't implemented that. R48 takes us to 0. R48 takes us to 0, but this is going to cause us to panic. Also, why does it take us to 0? Khalid, thanks for subbing, man. I appreciate it. It's very kind. Yeah, that's what one expects modulo to do, but modulo is wonky on negative values. You can still use math though, but loop is fine, just a lot more instructions. Okay, so you're saying if I use modulo, I would have run into a weird edge case with negative values? Okay, so... But I don't understand why this takes us to 0. What's 52 plus 48? It's 100. Ah, okay, now I know. Now I understand why. Yeah, mod 8, mod, or 8, negative 18 mod 100 equals negative 18. Oh, well, that's no fun. Yeah, that won't work. Well, I'll stick with my loop for now, and then maybe I could do like, maybe I could come back and figure out the better math version. It panicked because it was not supported. So we need to support it. And I think to support it, all we have to do is invert our logic, right? So basically do the same thing, only instead of checking if the current value is less than 0, we'll check to see if the current value is greater than 100, I think. Or no, greater than 99. Greater than 99. Then we need to subtract off 100. Oh, and we also need to flip our instruction. This is adding. So same sort of logic. If we cross over, if our instruction tells us to turn so many clicks that we go into a huge positive number that's above 99, we just want to bring it back down, I think. I don't know. I'm just making up all this stuff as I go. Cool. So let's add the rest of our instructions and see what shakes out. I'm going to actually, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to set this off to the side for a second so I can just copy paste without having to switch windows. So we'll do L5, and we expect a value of 95, and then we do R60, and this expects a value of 55. This is the only thing with table tests. You have to be kind of careful. You got to make sure you're putting the right test case values in. And this is kind of error prone doing it by hand, honestly. You could send yourself on a wild goose chase. So L1, and then expected value is 99. Man, I have to go back to work today too. I mean, I think we're gonna have plenty of time, hopefully, to solve this before that. But I'm just thinking out loud. I'll have to go back to work today. It was nice being off all week last week. Every time I have big chunks of uninterrupted like time off, I always just can't imagine to myself people who say they retire and they can't figure out what to do with themselves, you know? Like, I have too many things I want to do. What are you talking about? You don't know what to do when you retire. Oops. And the last case is L82, and this will be 32. We got 32, 14, 9. Yep. I think I entered them all right. Now let's see if they pass. Hey, let's go. So I think gives us pretty high confidence that we'll actually find the right answer for um, for our problem now. So if we do, this should be 3 based on the example problem. So it should be 3. And let's just make sure part 1 is actually doing what we're supposed to do. So it should be total. If the dial's current value equals 0, we increment our total. So let's go ahead and run all the tests now. Now this one hopefully passes. So you solve part 1 equals 3, want -1. What? I thought I just changed that. Did I not write that out? Yeah, I don't think I wrote that out. So it is 3 though, that's what we wanted. Hey, let's go! Alright, so let's see what the answer is for our actual problem here. I know this probably took me 3 times longer than everyone else, but I don't give a shit. I'm only competing against myself, you know what I mean? You are on a very good place. You may actually be able to solve part 2 easily. Oh, really? Nice. Well, we'll see. Famous last words. Let's do solve part 1. This is going to be example.txt. How do you put, can you do string literals in Go? Yeah. And then we'll do, like that. I mean, I could make this, like, again, I could turn this test solve part 1 into a table test, right? And I could just pass in different file path, and I could also have an expected value, but this is, it's 2 separate tests is fine for something like this, in my opinion. So we can do go test. Now this is going to fail because it should return me a much larger number than -1. But hopefully when we put this in, it'll be the right answer. Hey, let's go. W's in chat. Woo. Advent of code is off to a good start. I tell you what, that was fun. I mean, that was fun because it, I think was actually, I think that this logic, this one right here, where is it? I think the turn logic is actually kind of tricky. Like this, doing a loop, I think this is actually kind of tricky. I think if a noob hadn't talked about modulo, I don't know if I would have thought that I had to loop. I think I probably would have done just an if statement, honestly. I don't think I would have tried to just continue looping. So a noob kind of like gave me a heads up. Yeah, because I think what will happen is if you don't loop, you're just going to end up with a bunch of missed zeros, right? So you have to for thing over it. Cool. Let's do a little bit of Jeff. Thanks for subbing, man. Appreciate it. Pablo W. Pablo, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. The encouragement. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of refactoring in my solution here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out some of these types that I have into separate packages. So let's do internal, and let's make a new directory called 0. Or actually, I guess I could do it inside here, right? Because these are separate packages that are relevant to this solution only. They're not really to be shared. We could probably do one for file, though. So file probably should be its own package, right? So we do file.go, and then we should probably have a file test.go, that. So then let's go over to, oh, we should also update my test with the actual value. What was it? It was like 1,000. It was like 1011, wasn't it? 1011, I think, was what was the expected. I don't want to see part 2. I'm not going to look at that yet. I'm gonna do that tomorrow. The puzzle answer is 1011. Okay. The clue was the dial, but the issue is with the negative values. Oh, so that was the tripping. That was the thing that probably tripped a lot of people up. I'm actually interested. Dave Eddy, one of the guys I follow on social. I don't know if you guys follow him too. Some people might know him as the "You Suck at Programming" guy. Dave Eddy. I saw he's doing it with one of his with another creator. They're doing like races. So I'm curious to see how he solved it. Well, he did have a live last night. Did he not? Does he take those down? Oh, that sucks. Oh, he must have took them down. Oh no, this is the wrong channel. That's his personal channel. You Suck at Programming. Yeah, here we go. So this would be interesting to see how. Oh, he streamed for 2 hours? I wonder if it really took him that long to solve it. I'm guessing it didn't. But yeah, I'm going to be curious to see what other people do. I'm going to add this to my watch later. Yeah, I'll be curious to see what other people do. Any event. Let's refactor. Let's refactor. So we have our file.go. So let's do a let's do package file, and package file provides useful methods for interacting with files. And then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna extract that function from here. The read lines function, we're just going to extract that and put it in the files package. This. Which then means in our main file, we can actually import it by saying file. I think that should work the same, although I think this is going to complain because we don't have a so let's just add a test real quick. Test read or func test read lines, and we'll do, what will we do? What will we do? We'll test it. We'll test read lines. That's what we're gonna do. Pointer to testing.t, and then we'll say expected lines is equal to something. Say string slice of string, and we'll just stick hello world in there like that, and then we'll say results equals file dot read lines, and we'll just pass in a test dot txt. Then what do we do? Let's make a file. Let's just make a test file here that's like test.txt. That will have hello, and that will have world. And then let's do if slices dot equal, and we'll pass in results expected lines, If that equals false, then we know we have a problem with our code. So we can say t.err f %s. Let's see, got %s, but expected %s. We probably need to make this into a helper too, because that we're going to write that type of thing, the equals check, we're going to write that multiple times. So we should probably have like a test utils library or something. Let's see, result, expected lines is like this. I think this is going to fail because we have empty lines in here. The question is, Pablo called that out. It is kind of weird that I have an empty line right at the top of the file when there's not an empty line there. Let's see, test run internal. Oh, we need to go up one. So we'll do go test internal file. Yeah, so there's an empty line right at the beginning, and I'm not sure where is that coming from my implementation? Text returns the most recent token generated by a call to scan as a newly allocated string holding its byte. So I'm guessing the first time through here, this must be just empty to begin with every time. So the question is, how do I avoid that? I don't know how to avoid that. Yeah, see. But there isn't actually a new line in the file. Am I dumb? What am I doing wrong here? So I don't want to filter anything. That's the thing. Like, I don't want to filter empty lines because files might really have empty lines, and I might need to know about them. So why? Let's ask the powers that be. Buff.io scanner first call to scan. Oh, I know why. I think I know why. So in my loop here, right? In my loop here, the first thing I do is I set hasLine equals to true, which means I come down here and I call text, which is nothing. Then I actually scan forward. So I think what I need to do is I think I need to say do I need to do hasLine here? Let's see, let's just move this to here and let's say scanner dot scan. And then I think we can do something like this. No, hold on. So I want to scan first. Basically, I want to scan once before I hit the loop, right? So I think if I do this, like if I just call this once like that, I think that gets rid of my empty line. Go test. Yeah, that gets rid of my empty line. So I guess I'll just do this. It seems weird. Or I guess I could do this. It seems even weirder, but I think it would work the same way. Yeah. And which I think means, whoops, I just closed NeoVim. Gosh dang it. Well, you shouldn't use the mouse. So I think if we do, let's see, NeoVim, I think with that implementation, that means that we can come back to our main.go. And I think we can actually remove this. Well, no, I still don't think we want to remove that check, do we? Right? Because theoretically, like, there could be other empty lines, but for the purposes of the file function, we only want to return lines that are actually in the file, not some mystery empty line that's not really there. That's confusing. Cool. We extracted that guy. Now let's go back to our main.go. And what else can we take out here? I think we should take out our types. So I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of yeah. So what I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to just do something like direction.go, and I think I'd like to do instruction.go. This may not be interesting to you guys, but I gotta admit, this is actually the part of programming and coding that kind of I find very pleasing to my brain. Is like, have you guys heard of that concept in cooking of like mise en place, right? Everything in its place. There's something very pleasing about like refactoring code and putting everything just right. You know, maybe this is a neuroatypical thing that I have going on. Yeah, I find it very pleasing. So let's do main.go. So we're going to take these constants out and we're going to put them over here. We'll say package direction and package direction. Yep. That's all it does. Which means we can remove this. And that's going to complain, but now we can say if it is direction.left. Yep, Copilot's already ahead of me. And we can say direction.right. Bradley, structuring in a way that makes sense means you can reason about better. Yeah, see, I think that's what I think I was trying to. I don't think I expressed it very well, but Pablo mentioned like, hey, dude, this is the most over-engineered advent of code solution, and I think most of my solutions are going to be that way sometimes because the structure helps me keep shit straight in my brain. Like, I think I would have made a lot more mistakes if I had just tried to solve everything in a single function at the top of the file. I think I would have made a lot more errors. So, I don't know. For what it's worth, I think structure helps me think and reason about things. And it's soothing to my brain. I don't know why, but it's soothing to my brain to be like, okay, great. Now we can say direction.left. That feels much better. Again, like why? I don't know, but that. Let's do. And actually, you know what? Well, no, that's fine. It's fine. So then let's take out instruction. Let's put that over here. We'll say package instruction. We'll do package instruction provides a model and method for I don't know. Provides a model for representing dial instructions. I don't know, I'm making it up. Copilot could probably write that comment better than I can. And then something I've been doing, I don't know if this is an anti-pattern in Go, but this is a pattern that I've been liking where basically I'm hiding the concrete implementation. I don't know if this is the C# developer in me coming out, but I've been doing this thing where I do type instruction and I say that's an interface. And then I've been declaring methods on an interface. So distance like that. Then we'll have another one that's called, yeah, we'll just have distance. And then I've been making the concrete thing private to the module or the package. And I've been saying, so then I add methods on here that's like func I, and this is a concrete instruction, and this will be direction, and this just returns the private field in that struct. Oops. And I do the same thing with the other member. I do. Oh, this is going to be a string. This is going to be distance. And these actually should be lowercase because they're going to be private now. This. And then what I've been doing is then I'll go and pull out my new instruction method. Right? And then I'll put that here. And I kind of like the Rust syntax. I kind of like I kind of like doing, this isn't really Rust syntax, but I kind of like having a constructor named from. I think that reads nice. And then we'll do I, and we'll set the private fields like this. And now what we'll do is we'll come back to our file, to our main.go, and we should be able to say, instead of having all of this here, we should be able to say, we want an instruction from the instruction module, and then direction should be a method now. This. Now, why is d.currentValue complaining? Because these are method calls. And I think my tests need to change too. Maybe a little bit. Yeah. So I have to come here. So this will be, what will this be? This will be instruction dot from the line. And this will be an expected, and then we have to change these to method calls again. So it is a little bit more refactoring, but the thing I like about this is it sort of hides away. It basically encapsulates some of that data, right, with this approach, and so that if I ever want to do something different with how I'm giving the direction or how I'm setting the direction, I can. This is probably more important when you have something that carries more state around and you want to have people from the outside do things with it, right? But you want to control the access. I just feel like this is a nice pattern. Honestly, I don't know if it's anti-Go. This is where I've kind of landed to try to create some of that same encapsulation that I'm used to being able to do in C# in Go. Hey Pablo, what's up? It is going well. Yeah, we're just spending the last little bits here refactoring some stuff, moving some stuff around. Oh, also Pablo, I meant to say this to you earlier. Isn't today your first day at the new gig, your new job? What's up, Artwork Studios? Yeah, no worries, dude. Did you solve it? You solved it, didn't you? Yeah, you solved it way before me too, I think. Yeah, there you are. Looky there. Let's go. Now we just need Kyle, and I don't know if this guy is in our stream. He's definitely in our Discord, but I don't know if he shows up in our stream very often. You on puzzle 1 or puzzle 2? Puzzle, I'm just doing part 1. So I'm puzzle 1, part 1, and then I'll do part 2 tomorrow. Which it may be really quick. Pablo said he thinks I'm in a pretty good space, or pretty good place for part 2. So we'll see. I'm trying to avoid looking at it so I don't try to get unfair head start. Got to do some training today and chatting with my manager. Nice. All the onboarding. Yeah, you got to do the onboarding stuff. Well, that's exciting, dude. Yeah. I meant to tell you earlier. Meant to say good luck. I hope it's good, you know. Let's see, dial is going to go here. I'm basically going to do the same kind of thing. So we're going to do package, dial, and we'll do. Yeah, you should be fine. Oh, good. Well, there you go. Well, if we have extra time tomorrow, then we might work on a project. The one project that I haven't been able to build in 2025 that I really wanted to build was something that integrates with Stripe. So maybe that's something we can do in our off hours between Advent of Code puzzles. Because I know there are going to be Advent of Code puzzles that take all of my day and more, but maybe for some of these puzzles that we get lucky on. Okay. So we're going to kind of take the same approach. This is going to have an interface. Oops, not that. Type dial, interface. And this is going to have a value method that returns an int. And it's going to have a turn method that accepts an instruction of type instruction. So basically turn is like another way to say set value, but we have some very specific logic about how we can actually manipulate the value. So we'll hide this and we'll say this is a dial. And then we'll move our implementations for we'll turn value into a private field. So we'll say func D, and this is going to be a pointer, not a pointer, a pointer to dial, to the struct. And this will be a value, which returns an int, and that's just going to return t.value, the field. Then we have another func, that's a receiver, which is a pointer. And we're going to say turn, takes an instruction. I know, it's an ugly signature, but what are you going to do? And then our turn implementation will now be moved inside here. So let's go back over there and get that. If I could figure out how to switch buffers. We want main go. So we're just going to take all this. And we're going to extract that. We could turn that into a switch too. That's one thing we could also refactor. Put that there. Now current value needs to be replaced with just value here. So we'll do select the visible area and we'll do that. And then we'll do current, S, current. Butterscotch would be so proud of me right now. Current value, and this needs to be replaced with value, and do that right globally. And then we need to bring the direction module. Cool. And then and then the last thing we need to do is we need to bring in the dial, the new dial function here. So we're going to change that from dial. And what are we going to do? We're going to basically say Now, instead of new dial, since we're in the dial module, now we can kind of have a little bit of that rusty-like syntax, and now we can just say, so now we can do, back in our main file, we can do something like this. So we can say, we don't want these guys. And for our dial, we can say dial.new. And then instead of current value, this will be a method call, like that. And then we'll have to update some of our tests. So this is going to complain. In part 2, turn will return a value. It's all I'm going to say. Okay, good to know. Good to know. All right, and then, oh, a store. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna do a store. I think it'd be nice to just have like a, you know how they have those like buy me a coffee sites. You know, like I think KOFI. I think it would be fun to build a page like that for myself, kind of like what I did with Linktree. Like build my own version of Linktree or build my own version of Buy Me a Coffee. That would allow me to get experience integrating something with Stripe and that actually does, like in real life, accept payments from other people on the internet. I've never done that with Stripe, and I just feel like that's a skill as a developer I should have. Like I should know how to wire payments into an application. Okay, this is angry because I don't have, this is not public anymore. So this is angry. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to add a new method. And I'm going to refactor this to say from line. And this is going to be func. Hey honey, how are you? Is it really snowing? What does it look on the camera? That's 22 degrees here, chat. Isn't this crazy? It's 22 degrees. Oh my goodness, it is snowing. There's actual snow accumulating on my Blackstone. Look at that, chat. I don't know if you can see that. It's very faint. See the white powder on top of the Blackstone? That's crazy. Hey Wanta, how are you? How's Malta? Oh, wow, you're in Malta? Isn't that somewhere in Europe? Where is that? Malta? For some reason when I thought of Malta, I thought of France. I don't know why. Let's see. Malta is an archipelago in the central Mediterranean between Sicily and the North African coast. Wow. This picture looks beautiful. That right there is beautiful. Wow, you guys are literally like in the Mediterranean. That's crazy. That's so cool that there's someone sitting in Malta in my chat right now. Good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. We've been having fun this morning doing advent of code stuff. We even drew a little picture to represent our problem. It's been a good day. We brewed some coffee. Yep. It's been a good day, man. All right, going back here. So instead of just having a function that's from, we're going to have one that's from line, and then we're going to have one that's from, I'm going to call it from parts, and we're going to take a direction, which is a string, and then we're going to take a int, which is our distance, that, and then we'll just return this. We'll say direction. Ain't that the island where they crossed the border to Europe from Africa? I actually don't know. It's literally in the middle of the Mediterranean. Just crazy. Landlocked. It's a pretty nice place. Still kind of warm over here. Cool. I was working in a late bit on the stream. Oh, no worries at all, man. Yeah, dude, you know, you got a life. Kelsey, like a tree int? How exciting. Very exciting. Very exciting indeed. Yeah, it's not warm. It's not warm over here though, Wanta. It is colder than it, and it's just gonna get colder. Apparently. Why is this complaining? Undefined distance? Oh, it's because I flipped these. Gosh dang it, I keep doing that. I keep flipping the type declaration. Hey, what's up, Nomad? Good afternoon from the Bermuda Triangle. Really? You're in the Bermuda Triangle? That's awesome. Pablo, here we have a summer storm. Yeah, no summer storms here. Winter has come. Winter is no longer coming. Winter has come. That's pretty cool. Bermuda Triangle? That's awesome. Although, I didn't know people actually live in the Bermuda Triangle. This is going to be dial. This test is actually going to get pulled out to a different place. But there's no harm in refactoring it here. Okay, and now this is going to be instruction. And this is going to be, instead of solution.instruction, this is going to be, let's see if we can save ourselves some work here. So let's select all of this and let's say, okay, we want to replace instruction. No, we want to replace period instruction. No, solution dot instruction. I guess we want to replace that with instruction from is what we want to replace it with. So we basically want to say instruction dot from, like that. I don't know. I know there's a better way to do this. There's probably a macro that I could wire up here, but I'm just going to do it the manual one. And I didn't even pick the right method name either when I did the replace. This should be R14. And this is going to be L. And this is going to be 99. This is actually probably a pretty good refactor opportunity for Copilot, actually. Dial.value. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna call this. All right, we're making progress here. I like this. This is turning out pretty good. How long did it take you to solve admin code today? Just a couple hours. Like I said, if you're looking for someone who's super fast at solving puzzles, like code puzzles, this is not me. If you're looking for someone who has a lot of fun doing it, that's me. But doing it well or fast, not so much. Yeah, snowing. Snowing, snowing, snowing. If you can read code, can I read every code in program or just the code you make is readable to you? Dude, sometimes the code. All right, hold on. Let me start again. If you read code, can I read every code in program or just the code you make is readable to you? Well, first off, even code that I've written myself isn't sometimes readable to me. If it's code that I wrote like 6 months ago and it was kind of complex and I come back to it, sometimes I'll think, what the hell was this person doing? I think generally, if you can read code, you can generally look at most programming languages and sort of suss out what's going on. Um, but it doesn't necessarily mean just because you know how to write one programming language and read one programming language doesn't necessarily mean you can read them all. Like I probably couldn't suss out what's going on in assembly. Like if you handed me a program in assembly, that would be difficult probably for me to figure out. But if you handed me a program in, I don't know, maybe Haskell. Haskell is something I've never read or written, but I've seen a little bit of the syntax, and I think I could sort of grok it. Um, so it's largely it depends, you know. Which I think is the interesting. I think that's one of the most interesting things about programming in general is you can be an uber good developer in C# or .NET, and then I can tell you, well, guess what? You can't write C# and .NET anymore. You have to write Python. And all of a sudden, while you're still a great software engineer, your effectiveness and your productivity is going to fall off a cliff, at least for a period of time until you get up to speed with that language and that ecosystem. That's just the nature of the beast, in my opinion. So it's more of, at some point, it's more of a skill of like how quickly can you go from being a newbie to not a newbie anymore becomes important. Um, I mean, the conceptual things, right? They transfer. It's the specific like implementation details that don't transfer, right? Are we fixed all that? I think everyone's happy now. Except, oh, these guys need to be method calls. All right, we should be able to run our tests now and still have them pass. So let's say go test 02, no 01. There we go. So it all passes. But I'm much happier with the API that we landed on. This reads so much better. Dial is dial.new. We have instruction from line. We turn, given that direction, and then we check the value. And then we have this nice helper, this nice readline helper. We need to pull the tests though out. There's some tests in here that don't belong in the main.test anymore. Kelsey, who is everyone? I don't know. Sometimes I pretend like there's more than just me. Pablo, sometimes only God can read it. That might be one of the funniest messages you've ever sent in chat, honestly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's exactly like that. It's like 6-7. 6-7 is a great way to explain it, what it looks what it feels like to look like. I can't talk. 6.7 is a great way to explain what it feels like to look at old code. 100%. It's like I should know. It's this feeling of like I should know what this means, but I don't know what this means. I know I didn't say it right, honey. Okay, I'm not cool like the children. I'm guessing our oldest son could teach me how to say it right though, couldn't he? All right, I'm gonna pull my test into a separate file, and then we should be close to. The answer is 89. I am old. I am old. I don't think my white and gray hairs have started showing up on stream yet, but here before long it's gonna be, a couple more years, probably gonna be some salt and pepper in the hair. I'm gonna pin your message. Okay, so we want our tests here, but the test new instructions should not be here. That should be in this package, instruction test.go, package instruction test, and this should be test from line. And we're also going to have one that's test from parts. So expected from parts, expected direction, expected distance, like that. Cool. Then we'll go back here. What else? We want to pull out the new dial. That test doesn't belong there anymore. That test belongs over here. That. And then I think there's one more. The turn. Excuse me. Yeah, turn. Which is going to be a dial test. And instead of test, or no, test turn is accurate. So then in our main test, we really only have 2 tests, which is just calling the solve part 1 method. And so then let's do go test CMD. Everyone's still happy? Awesome. Okay, I have a nice clean solution, well factored, well organized. We're ignoring example.txt, we're ignoring the input, we're ignoring the problem. We don't want to commit those to the repository. Main.go. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're at a point where we can ship this up. So we'll say git add git commit im feature solve day 1 part 1. Oops. We'll push that. We'll do ghpr create. You shouldn't ignore problems. Yeah, ignoring problems is dangerous. Damn, I'm 27 and I had to get bold because I'm losing hair. Programming is stressful, man. Oh no. Yeah, programming's making you lose your hair. That's no fun at all. No fun at all. And then we'll merge that in. Create a merge commit. Yes. Cool. Did I think I had, let's see, code. I think I had a place to put some notes for the README. Let's toggle word wrap. Let's see, is there anything I want to say about this day? I don't know. Part 1 seemed straightforward enough. We'll see. Part 2 might get me though. Format with the prettier. Git add git commit m for update readme. All right. Now let's get set up for part 2. So I'll do git checkout solve day 1 part 2. Push that. All right, we're all good to go. So tomorrow, so my plan is, I know everyone's doing admin of code differently this year since there's only 12 puzzles. Normally there's 24. Usually basically there's 48, right? Because there's 2 parts for each day and there was 24 days historically. This year they're just doing 12 puzzles, but each one still has 2 parts. So the way I'm spreading it out across Advent is I'm going to do part 1 today and then I'll do part 2 tomorrow. So I'll actually be behind everyone else, I think, because I think a lot of people are planning on just doing like both parts, you know, over the course of 12 days. But I'd like to try to stretch this event out for as long as possible because it's a ton of fun. According to Pablo, though, tomorrow might be a pretty quick solution day. He said my solution's in a pretty good spot, so we might be doing pretty good. One question I did have, Pablo, does the AOC tool just pull whatever's on the page at that point in time? Yeah, so like this is not... So now that I have part 2 unlocked, I need to update this, don't I? So I need to say AOC, and then I need to give it, need to probably overwrite those. Isn't there an overwrite flag? Yeah. You may need to leave tests for after the solution. Fair enough. You can rerun to get part 2. Okay. So how do I overwrite? -O. So I'll just do -O. There we go. So now if I look at the problem, I should have part... I thought I should have part 2. Do I not have part 2 in here? Do I have to specify some extra flag or something? I'm pretty sure I have part 2 unlocked. Yeah, that's part 2. Maybe there's some special flag I need to... Or maybe NeoVim's just not updated? I think I made NeoVim mad. Cat 01 problem MD. Yeah, NeoVim just wasn't reflecting the most recent file. Okay, so I think we need to think of a project that we can work on. So if tomorrow goes really quick, right? If let's say tomorrow we brew our coffee and we're done solving, you know, within 30 minutes or an hour, granted, given how much I chat and talk, I think the project we might work on is we might we have a couple things. So we have a couple things we could do. Um, we have the practice. We have we have that REST API that we were working on. Go grind. Yeah, we have this Go REST API. But I think because I'm using Go for Advent of code, I really don't want to write it anymore. I'd rather spend my time going back to some of the languages that I really enjoy. So I think I'm gonna start a project, kind of like what I told Pablo about basically there are these coffee sites called Buy Me a Coffee, which basically just allows anybody to create a page where others can tip you. Essentially, it's basically a tipping page, right? Like Stream Elements has this too. Um, and I think I'd like to do kind of like what we did for the Linktree site that we created, right? So this is kind of a simple implementation of what you can do with Linktree, right? Like Linktree is what everybody really uses. Linktree, right? So all we're doing is we're just replicating some of basic functionality from another site. But the key piece of learning that we could get out of building this is that we could figure out how to actually accept payments for real. So I think that would be good. So I might do that. I might just use like a single .NET project, make it really simple, really easy to deploy, and just focus on the payments process and the payments flow. Because that's, again, something I've never implemented before. Make it give temporary membership on Discord or something like that. Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, that would be an even better idea. So we integrate it with Stripe, and then we also have some sort of integration with our Discord server. I love that idea. What else? Oh, and then I also have some chores that I need to take care of. I don't know about you guys, but there's like random chores that I need to handle related to repos that I maintain. So I need to migrate Steve's bot to a new server. I need to republish this package under a new package ID, um, because Anthropic took my old package ID. You used to be able to say .NET add package Anthropic client, but Anthropic took this. Pablo, an incentive for people to spend money or to send you money. Well, I don't. People definitely don't have to send me money at all. Never. I have a day job, but yeah, we could gamify the buy me a coffee site. If you want to send me your money, I will happily take your money, but you don't need to send me your money. uh, yeah, so I need to republish this. That's a chore that we need to do. We also have a crap ton of things to look at on stream. I don't know how many of you have been around for very long, but I have this list that goes back to like springtime this year, where we were basically collecting a bunch of things to look at on stream, and we really haven't. We tried React Router, we did do that. Um, we sort of built an app with it, but we didn't get very far. Maybe this might be fun. Trying to build a game in Godot. That might be something fun to do on stream during December. What else? This was a Copilot integration for NeoVim. I'm not really interested in that anymore. Kelsey, oh wow, so long ago. It was a long time ago, okay? It was like 9 months ago. It's like a whole nother life. um, we tried the Helix editor. I did not like it. I don't even remember what this was. Talwala? This was something somebody in chat recommended. I don't remember what it is. Auto captioning tool for videos. I still think that's an interesting project. People ask me about auto captioning for my videos all the time. I just use YouTube. But this is kind of an interesting idea. Maybe there's a project there. I definitely want to do this. I want to build something like in for moving data around between systems. That was a funny. This was a funny idea. Basically, somebody had this idea that because my stream is called Code, Coffee, and Chat, that we should have like a real-time counter that is like shows like the proportion of time in the stream that was that it has been spent talking about code versus talking about the other things. And the idea behind this project was we would basically transcribe the stream and then we would send the transcription to an LLM and have it analyze the segments that were about each of the topics. Will, thanks for subscribing. Appreciate it, man. And then it would send us back some sort of structure, some sort of structured data, and then we would calculate the statistics on that. I still think that would be an interesting problem to try to solve because it requires real-time data processing. You're going to have to interact with an LLM. You're probably going to have to figure out some sort of caching, right? Because you don't need to update this all the time, or you're going to have to do it on some sort of interval. Yeah, I think that would be kind of a funny thing to have on the screen. Maybe over here, like maybe we could somehow append it to the file, this code, coffee, and chat text. Maybe we have a file that has that text, and then we append the percentages to the end of it. I think that'd be kind of cool. We have a lot of things we can do when we're not solving Advent of Code this month. So I'll try to organize my thoughts a little bit more and see what's maybe realistic for us to try to accomplish. But if you guys have thoughts or ideas, I'm open. You can join the Discord and pepper me with your ideas. What's up, Melty? How are you? Mrs. Freeborn is in the chat. Mrs. Freeborn has been here for the last 30 minutes or so of the stream, last 45 minutes of the stream. We've been solving Advent of Code. Why does Steven skip leg day? It's more like, why doesn't Steven skip eating sweets day? The real problem isn't necessarily that my legs are disproportional to my upper body, it's that my stomach is disproportional to the rest of my body. All right, guys. Well, this was fun. This was a good first Advent of Code. Let me know if you guys didn't like the coffee making part. That's fine. I can take that out. But I thought that was kind of fun to like make coffee, make the coffee of the day, and then sit down and write the code. Steven, that is literally my type of project. I literally only work on things for streamers. Any and every way I can help with that, I would love to. Even though you're far more capable than my vibe coding. Oh man, if you want to take a stab at solving something like that, I mean, it seems like it could be a pretty generalized solution, right? Because you're gonna define some categories up front, and then you're gonna have the LLM do the sentiment analysis to try to give you some timestamps that fall. I don't know. You could define categories, and then you could define an arbitrary segment length. And then you're going to have a LLM sort of group and categorize the transcription. And then you're just going to calculate the statistics, right? So it seems like it could be a pretty generalizable thing. If you want to take a stab at a solution, I'd love to see it. A noob, try learning Java. I think before Java, I'd like to learn Rust. So maybe we could do some Rust learning on stream. I've been going through a course on Pluralsight called The Fundamentals of Rust. Fundamentals of Rust. Pluralsight. And it's been pretty good so far. I'm enjoying it. So maybe we could do some Rust programming. I don't know. I kind of want to spend some time though writing C# and TypeScript again. It's been a little while since I've been doing that off stream, but I haven't been doing it on stream, so it'd be nice. Nah, man, it's your stream. Just have fun. Well, I appreciate that, Pablo. That's my plan. So I'm glad there's other people here that are okay with that plan. and are in agreement with the plan. Jelly, would you say stuff like the coffee site or Linktree are beginner projects? I think the Linktree site is definitely a beginner project because really you could build this with just an index.html file, and that's really it. Like you could just do this with static text, or you could do it with static text, JavaScript, and CSS. You could do it with like separate files. I mean, you're going to have to use those technologies regardless, but you could do it in separate files. You could make it more complicated than it needs to be, and you could have a backend that serves your links from an endpoint and a front end that's a spa. You could do a server-side rendered application like I'm doing with Go. I mean, yeah, you could slice this project in a lot of different ways and use it as an opportunity to explore a lot of different concepts. The Buy Me a Link site or the Buy Me a Coffee site, I would say is a beginner until you start talking about integrating with Stripe. But I would probably say it's like an intermediate project, right? Maybe it's from a front end perspective, it's probably it's probably equally simple or complicated, whatever word you want to use to describe it, as the links page. But you're going to have a little bit more complication on the back end, initializing the Stripe stuff on the front end and then passing that to the back end. And yeah, so managing the payments flow is what makes the Buy Me a Coffee site more complex. But either one could be good projects for learning. That's how I use them. I used this to learn about serving static files from Go and building a Go web server. And then I'm going to use the Buy Me a Coffee site primarily for the Stripe integration education. Melty, I basically thought about doing one of those heat word map things in the past. What all variables would you want me to have it track? The idea was basically just to have, I don't know if we want a heat map. We basically just want essentially percentages of like coffee talk, code talk, and then like the random, we would probably just throw in like some random chat, and then we would just want like percentages of like 33% of the stream has been this, or 50% of the stream has been this. And then I think to begin with, I would just probably put the percentages in the existing text that's up at the top left. We could come up with a better visualization though down the road, but that's basically all I'm looking for. Kelsey. No, they're not, honey. The kids cannot corrupt this, okay? They can't lay claim to the hand gestures. What's up, Stefan? Have you done AOC? I did do AOC. I didn't do part 2. I just did part 1. So yeah, I did solve part 1. I'll do part 2 tomorrow. Do only people who work with code enjoy mono? It's obviously the optimal type space. I don't see it used much outside of developer or code related things, but I enjoy it. Stefan, what is your old message pinned? Oh, that's my wife calling me old. Jelly, thanks, man. Of course, yeah. I think those are good projects too, because like they're just like, I think projects like that are super amorphous are fun projects. It's like, well, no one's really telling you what it needs to be or how it needs to be built. You just kind of decide, right? Like you pick the tech stack, pick the technologies, make it as simple as or as complicated as you want it to be, and take off and run. Are you getting closer to the screen because you can't see? No, I can see just fine. Melty, dang, I'm at the hospital. Doc just came out and talked while I was listening. I'm just going to message you on Discord. Too hard for me to gather the info I need in this place. Yeah, you can send a message in Discord. I mean, I'm probably going to implement my own solution, Melty. But if you would like to take a stab at that idea too, go for it. I'm not looking to like, hire you to do the work. But if you find the problem interesting and you want to try to solve it yourself, go for it. My wife is the only troll who is officially permitted in chat. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for me. This was fun start to Advent Code. I'm going to be here through the month of December doing the same thing every morning. So if you're around and want to stop in, I would love to have you. We're going to do our normal customary. Yeah, Kelsey don't listen to nobody. And what a troll. Yeah, it's such a troll. Yeah, it's exceptional. All right, so if you want to interact with me or chat outside of stream, the best place to find us is Discord. Here we go. And Stream Elements will hook you up with a link. If you're interested in coming back for other AOC this month, my schedule is 4:15 a.m. to 7 o'clock a.m. each morning. And sometimes on the weekends I'll go a little bit later, but I try to just be consistent with doing the 2 to 3 hours there each morning. As far as like content that's planned for those streams, we're going to do more of this. We're going to do a piece of an Advent of Code problem each day. We're going to brew some coffee on stream from a coffee Advent calendar I bought and just talk about code and probably work on some other projects when we have time if Advent of Code goes well that day. But some days it will not. Some days it will end with Steven admitting defeat, crashing out, and then solving the puzzle later that evening. But such is life. If it's already Tuesday for you, which I guess it could be for some people because it's weird, I hope you're all having a great Tuesday. If it's Monday for you, I hope you have a wonderful Monday. And if I see you tomorrow morning, great. If not, maybe I'll see you in the comments of a short or video. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye, Pablo. Pablo, gotta see that. Yeah, it'll happen. Yeah, it's the crash out's coming at some point. It'll happen. Whenever we hit an A-star problem, that's probably when it'll happen. Some sort of path traversal or backtracking or some sort of dynamic programming thing. That's what's gonna happen. Love you, honey. I'll see you in a minute. I'll be upstairs. Bye, Pablo. Bye, Stefan. Bye, Melty. Who else is in the chat? Jaja. Jaja just came into the chat to do some crazy commenting. Jelly, see you, man. A noob, if you're still here, great to see you. All right, bye, guys. Bye, chat. Bye.